So here's a very different type of video. You'll remember a few weeks ago we were doing this Savinet Beta 2000, which belongs to the same trade customer as that cyanide meter, which now needs to go back. And one of the reasons, or the reason he sent this in, was because the front's loose, because the lugs had broken off. And what we would do if it was ours, we'd have just got the glue gun to it and used hot glue to kind of put it back together, so to speak. But our regular viewer, Quotageous, David, has come up with what has worked for him as a solution for broken lugs. So we're going to give it a go. And whilst we've got this apart, I'm going to apply hot glue gun to the power connector, which is falling out because one of the lugs is snapped off. So we'll do that. I'm going to unsolder this speaker so we're not dragging on it. Just put the soldering iron on, take both the lids off, put them to one side. I'm not here to restore the case. That's up to my trade acquaintance. He says what to do is to get some plastic like a margarine tub, or in this case it's a takeaway lid. We use those takeaway trays like we use these type of Mr. Chippy cheesecake things to put screws and that in. So we'll unsolder that. I'm really wanting to get onto a base station. We've got a Harrier CBHQ which has come straight from the eBay vendor on its way to the owner of it, and it's quite interesting because it's covered in sticky back plastic. I think the television magazine programme for children Blue Peter must have been involved, and those of you my kind of age, and I've not had a television for 20 years, but will remember Blue Peter and John Noakes and Valerie Singleton and Peter Purvis were my era, doing things with sticky back plastic, which in this country Fablon I would say was the leading brand. Something you could buy from Woolworths, remember them. I'm going to take the knobs off this just because I think it's going to make it a bit easier, so we can pop the front actually off. Now on these sets, this is going to be fun, isn't it? We're going to have to unsolder the earthing lug because the mic socket is secured from the inside. So we're going to have enough wire, when there will be enough wire when that's removed, just to pull that through. But at the moment it's held by that earthing lug. So we're going to have to unsolder that, which is not what I'd planned. Oh, I managed to do it without having to cut the leads. It's the capacitors for the decoupling there. So we've now got enough wire which we can pull through, so we can hopefully do what Quotageous suggests. So I'm just going to pause the video while I go and get a piece of kitchen roll. There we are. I'm back. Use that in a moment. So what Quotageous says is to super glue some thin plastic onto the inside edge of the case, cut it to suit so that it overlaps down here, and we'll pop those screws out because we'll need them to secure it. So at least we've still got both the screws. And then you can drill and screw it back to the front. Now I don't think I've ever used super glue before, so I went out and bought Loctite one, which I think is the market leader. What I didn't want to do was to get Billy No Mates and then the thing doesn't work and you say, sorry David, it doesn't work, because I'm sure it does. So I try not to super glue my fingers together. It doesn't help as a church organist. I think you just put a few drops of this on make sure the surfaces you want to bond are clean, dry and close fitting. Right, so what we're going to do is we'll get the Tango Tower scissors and we'll cut into this. So that's a nice strip of polythene, I suppose this is. So I need to cut that so that it goes down there and enough to be overlapping. I'll tell you what, we'll cut that there. So that will indeed be close fitting. May have to trim that at the end. Just knock that corner off. We'll cut another one the same. And this stuff, doesn't it bond in seconds? Bonds in seconds. Now I've got some old blinds, as in Venetian blinds, which are very thin metal. But I wasn't sure whether this bonds to metal successfully. It says it does, but I don't always know. I'm not sure. But I'm sure plastic to plastic is going to work. So screwing that on probably opens the... Yeah, feels like it did. So here's where we get the isopropyl alcohol to make sure everything is clean. And that's why I got the piece of kitchen paper. So the inside of that bit of case, which isn't easy because of the connector, so I'm pushing it in with a screwdriver, and that's certainly got some dirt off. So we'll do the same again with the plastic, because although it's been through the dishwasher, we want it as good as possible. Right, I can see it coming out through the nozzle. So that's going to be the more difficult one because of that microphone socket. I'll tell you what, we're going to leave that. But I know it says bonds in seconds. I'm going to leave it half an hour, so we'll come back to it. Well, that didn't really work out with the super glue, and I've reinforced what I've done with the hot glue gun. So we've put it into the corners down at that end. While I got the glue gun on, I did that power connector. And now the proof of the pudding's in the eating. Can I put this thing back together? Well, that's got the buttons through. So what we need to do is to get a hole there so we can get the fixing screw through, and the same at this end. I didn't bring a drill with me. Right, we seem to be on target now. What I don't want to do, of course, is drill through and damage the actual hole. We'll just pull that back a fraction. That seems to have gone through. I'll put my little drill down, or is it an Aldi one? We'll put that screw in. And we'll just have it snug and not how somebody's had it, which has caused it to break in the first place, which was too tight. So making sure my wires are through for that earth. So that needs pushing all the way down. Once again, I just need to drill through that hot glue which is popped through. Pull it back so I don't damage what I've done. So how long did that take? Probably about 30 seconds. That's because I'm putting virtually no pressure. I'm lifting the weight of the drill up so that it's not pushing and breaking what I've glued on. So we now have a hole in, once again, hopefully the correct position, because that corresponds well, I thought it did. Let's go through again. It's a bit of burb which is folded back. Try again to drill that off. Pause the video, somebody's coming to the door. Okay, so hours later we've come back to this, and that was the first one I put in. That's the second one I've now screwed in. It's nice and rigid. Just need to solder those decoupling capacitors back on, pop the speaker on, and hopefully the case will also go back on. So we will find out. Now then, where's my solder? Come on, there's got to be a few inches of it, even if there's a real. Yeah, there's a few inches of it. That will be enough. Expect Mr. Chippy's waltzed off with it. So Mr. Chippy's gone back home to near Bradford, so we don't get him back till Tuesday. So I'm going to start that base station, but there'll be no scratchy corner test till Tuesday. It's Friday today. I will make a start on it today. You'll know when I start it because there aren't many Harris CBHQs covered in vinyl veneer, as the Americans would have called it, and what we would have said Fablon. So is that the right way round? No, it's that way round. So hopefully, just once, a little bit yep, that goes in. Get that tucked in as well. Yep, that lines up. I'd have put him some screws in, but they're on back order from RS. See if we can find any kicking around. That doesn't feel right. doesn't feel 100% right. You know what happens, people put wrong screws in and ruin the threads. These are a bit short, they're only about 5mm. Let's see if there's enough. Not enough for that one. That's too thin. That looks about right. I can't believe we've run out of rig case screws, but we have. Right, so that's back together. And it's not grinning anymore. And that's nice and rigid. And that's David's idea. And that seems fine. So I'd not thought of doing that. So thanks, David, for that tip. And that can go back to the customer along with his cyanide meter. I'll get those off tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Hope you found that interesting, watching me faff around with a front.